morning. Good morning, Coach. How's it feel to sit up there with that backdrop that says Mountain West Football Championship and know your team has this opportunity Saturday?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for our guys who've worked really hard to be in this position. So I know they're excited about it and have to have a great week of practice and preparation to go play a great Boise team.
How long ago does it feel like that first Boise game was, and how much has changed since that matchup?
Well, it was a long time ago. Both teams have, played well through the year, and I think are deserving of being in this game. And, we have a lot of respect for them and who they are and what they do. And, going to be a great matchup. They handled us pretty well the first time out, and so we're hoping to improve on that.
And what's the latest on some of the injuries and guys that went out on Saturday?
Don't really know. I mean, that's day to day, as always. We didn't practice yesterday or today, and so people are getting treatment, and so we'll figure it out as the week goes on.
Coach, how good is Boise's defense?
What's that?
How good is Boise's defense?
Very good. I think if you look at the stats and where they rank nationally, they've done an excellent job, and very stingy, very hard to score on, really well coached, physical, good on all three levels in the front, at linebacker and in the secondary. So they do a great job.
If they don't have George Halani, what changes from, I guess, your defense's standpoint to try and stop their run?
Nothing really. I mean, you have to stop the run scheme. They have quality players, throughout their team. So obviously we have a lot of respect for him. He's done a great job, but it's the guys up front for them that kind of make it happen. And so it's not really the person you're trying to stop. It's more the schemes that they run and how efficient their guys up front are.
When it comes to your team, obviously, and just preparing for this game, I know Paul kind of touched upon the game in October. Have the guys who were injured in that game in October, have they just expressed the desire for that, that opportunity to play in this game this week? I mean, specifically Jake and Evan obviously being your captains.
Well, no, I really haven't talked to them, but obviously, I mean, they're excited to play in the game. They didn't get an opportunity to play before. Quite a few guys actually, but it's an opportunity to play, for a championship, and that's why you do all these things. You lift all the weights and you do all the running and you meet and you do all that kind of stuff is for this opportunity to play. And some of the guys who didn't get an opportunity to play before, I haven't really talked to them about it, but I think it's a given that they're looking forward to having an opportunity to play in this game.
Each year is obviously different, but this is your third time in 5 years playing in the conference championship game. Any way that you can, I mean, I guess it's unfair to compare each year, but do you remember what that feeling was like in 17 and in 18, and are there any similarities this time around?
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it's the championship game, and it's at their place, and the weather's probably going to be similar. And you're playing a great team, and we're familiar with what that environment's like. They do a great job there. Their fans definitely is an advantage for them because of their fans. It's very loud there. They do a great job. We've been there a few times to do this, and we know we're in for a really tough game, as it should be in this type of championship game.
Playing the last home game on Friday, obviously the emotions of senior night. I mean, you and Jake sat here last week and talked about, how emotional it would be for everybody. How emotional was it for you in the moment to see those seniors walk down the ramp one last time?
Yeah, it was emotional, but I think, we kind of talked about it before we did it, and I think the players are really focused going in to that. And we kind of talked about, while it will be emotional, we have to switch gears and focus on the job at hand. And I thought the players did a nice job of that.
Are you a bit surprised about Cropper's decision to have this be his last year and not utilize his COVID year?
No, I'm not surprised about it. No, it's, I don't know that he's made his decision 100%, but he may have. We really haven't talked about it other than if that's what it's going to be. You hate for somebody to miss out on the opportunity to go down the ramp with their family. And, so whatever he decides to do, I don't think he's 100% said one way or the other. But we're expecting that that's probably what it's going to be. But we really haven't. I don't think he's, at least to me, made an official announcement yet.
I'm curious to get your take on this. You had one of your players get engaged. Ray Powell's proposed to his girlfriend on Friday. And then earlier this season, LJ Early had a gender reveal. What do you think about these, kind of football-related events, but not football-related at the same time, taking place around games?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Ray asked me a few weeks ago if I minded that he did that, and I thought it was really neat that he chose that time to do it. And LJ, the same thing. He shared the reveal with the team, and I think it's really neat that the players use this arena and this environment because it's an important part of their life to share with, whether it be the reveal or to get engaged. I think that's pretty neat. I'm really happy for Ray.
Didn't get a chance to ask you this last week, Coach, but Henry Ellard is a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Obviously, you know him well. You played with him. What's your case for him getting inducted?
Oh, I think that's awesome. So happy for him and hope that works out for him. Well deserving. He had a long, great career. Couldn't happen to a better person. And, very productive in the NFL for a long time. And I wish the best for him. I really do. He's not only a great player, but he's a unbelievable person. And so wish nothing but the best for him.
And then I just have one more question back to Boise State. They've got a linebacker, DJ Schramm, who I don't think we asked you about ahead of the game in October. I think he was Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week that week. Kid from Fresno, obviously. Are you familiar with his story? Obviously, his family background, the ties to Fresno State. Were you familiar with him in high school?
Yeah, I was. I wasn't here at the time, but I'm familiar with him and his dad who worked here and, things like that. But besides that, I don't know him personally, never met him or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm familiar with the background a little bit.
Your team's obviously grown and improved since that game against Boise earlier in the season. Looking at the film of Boise recently, how have you seen their game improve throughout the year?
Yeah, they have. They've done a nice job. They're always really solid on defense, but I think their quarterback is really, really taken a big step. As he's matured through the year, and I think they've done a really nice job with him. Coach Cutter, their offensive coordinator, has done an excellent job of creating balance in their offense and using him in ways that's very effective. And, they're very balanced. They can run the football, and they can play action pass it, and they can throw it, and he can use his legs to hurt you. So they're a very dangerous group, and I think their quarterback has really matured through the year.
Like in the last matchup, it wasn't necessarily his speed or his arm, but when he got out of the pocket and made defenders pick between coming for him and in coverage, that was a problem. How do you approach that the second time around?
Yeah, that's always a problem. It's sometimes you get put in those situations, where you have to make decisions to come up and get him, or, you have to try to contain him. I don't know that you're going to stop him, but you just need to try to contain him. And then in the secondary, just make sure, they're going to make plays. But hopefully they don't go over our head with big plays, make them earn everything they get, hopefully.
Considering their improvements and how different your team is, how much do you take away from the film of the matchup previously with them? It's part of the film study, as a whole. And, they have different guys playing different positions. So do we, and so that was early in the season, and so both teams have changed a little bit. But there's one thing that's consistent, and that's how hard they play and how well they're coached. And so you're always going to get that from their team.
and we know that, and so we're going to have to, play our best.
The last two championships, you faced them twice in 2 weeks and twice in a month. Just any thoughts on the longer distance between the matchups this time around?
Really hadn't thought about that. I thought it was very unique the first couple times around. I think then we play them back to back. I think maybe one year. I thought that was a little unusual. I think that caused some rule changes and things like that because it was. I think it had something to do with ranking at the time, and the rankings hadn't come out till Tuesday, but they already made the decision. Something like that. I can't remember exactly, but playing back to back, that was a little unique.
You've got different personnel this time around, but one group that is similar is your front seven, and you gave up over 300 rushing yards last time around. What's different about that group now compared to October that'll be different?
Don't know. We're going to find out. I hope that, we have some guys that are young that played at the time, and now, as college football goes, you start out and you play some young guys early, and then they grow through the season. So hopefully we've improved there. And, I know that they're going to exploit it, for sure. They do with everybody. They run the ball really well. They have a great offensive line. So we're going to have to be on top of it.
And lastly, I was curious, Justin Houston had a big role at linebacker last week, a little bit of a different wrinkle to the defense. Is that something that could be a staple moving forward?
Well, it was good to see him get in there and play a role. That was because Lavelle was out for a while, but, we'll see how everything turns out. Usually he plays more in the nickel position, but it's nice to have some flexibility that you can fill in different places.
Coach, you said regarding the injuries, they're day-to-day. Does that include David Perales, and what specifically is his injury?
Yeah, it includes everybody. Everybody who got a little bit dinged up last week. He has an ankle issue that we'll find out more about. Typically we get x-rays and MRIs and all that kind of stuff, throughout the off days and specifically find out what's going on with him and then what the rehab's going to look like. And so we're in the process of doing that right now.
I know you'll learn more later today, but with your knowledge of the situation so far, do you think Perales is likely to play on Saturday regardless of his injury?
I don't know. You could ask that question a couple different ways. I'm going to tell you the same thing. I don't know. We have to find out what's really wrong with him. And then from there, it's a day-to-day process on how he recovers, what kind of progress he makes today, tomorrow, the next day. I know he's going to work hard on rehab. I know that. He'll be very dedicated to rehab. But, the human body is the human body. And I know his drive is there for sure. He's very motivated to play, but we just have to see how he recovers through the week here.
All right, one more question about J.L. Skinner of their team. He's their star safety, and you talk about the defense being well-coached and just athletic. I think he kind of exemplifies both of those. So how do you game plan for him on offense to make sure that he has as little impact as possible?
Well, he's going to have an impact because that's what great players do, So, again, just hopefully limit him. Guys that are, they're pretty solid all the way around, like I've said. So a lot of their guys make impacts. He's one of them. But you're not gonna stop him from making plays, right? It just kind of depends on the situation that he gets put in, but we have a lot of respect for him. There's no doubt about it. You can't just say, okay, leave him unblocked or what have you, and expect that he's not going to make a play. You definitely have to account for him. Okay, thank you.
Cup of Joys changed their cups. He did text me. Said he wanted to do a little promo, but didn't text me back, so. See what happens? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll text him again. I know he's got a lot on his plate.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Speaking of, when did you first have the thought in your head that you might get to go to Boise and play this time?
Well, I remember pregame, me and Evan walked out at Boise just because we wanted to go out there together, and J.L. Skinner said he was bummed that he wasn't going to be able to have the chance to play us, and he said, it's okay, we'll see you in the championship. And like, all right, cool, let's plan on it. So here we are. We get the opportunity, and that guy's a really good player and does a lot of really good things. So, I'm really excited to get the opportunity to compete against him one more time.
I know that you're focused ahead, but this win streak has been pretty incredible. The turnaround's been pretty incredible. In your mind, what accounts for it? What made the difference to help your team do what your team has done?
I just think it goes back to the constant preparation, the belief in each other, and the job that Coach Tedford's done, that Kirby's done, that Coach Coyle's done. I just think they've done a really good job of keeping guys together, keeping guys believing. And, when me and Evan came back, I just think it gave us that little extra boost of, okay, it's go time now. And I think it starts actually with San Jose State. Logan getting the job done against San Jose State, and at the time a really, really good team, and, still one of the top teams in the league in my mind, especially on defense. And, I think once we got that win, guys believed and knew that me and Evan would be back San Diego State. And after we got that win in New Mexico, it was kind of just all hands on deck. We can do this. And I just think it starts with the preparation and the guys believing in one another. And here we are.
And senior night, what was that like? What are the things you're going to remember about that night?
Yeah. So pregame, I ended up talking to my sports psychologist Friday afternoon about 12:45. And he works with special forces. And one of the things that he told me was kind of visualize one of the techniques that snipers used. And it was kind of just like a touch, a sound, and a feel thing. And he gave me that method just to stay in the present moment and gave me a stoplight routine, which when I feel like there's a lot of emotion, a lot of things creeping up in my mind that might distract me from the present moment, I need to notice that yellow light's allowing me to stop. And we kind of told myself when I go down and pray in the end zone before the game, that's when I need to collect my thoughts. And then when I throw my helmet on, that's when I need to say, okay, it's go time. Senior night's done. We need to go out and get a victory. And I thought that was a really good approach, allowed me to kind of get back into the present moment, hear the crowd, see the scoreboards, see my teammates, just kind of feel my shoulder pads back on my body, feel my helmet back on my head, and just allow myself to be in the present moment and go execute at a high level.
Paul mentioned your comeback from injury this season, but your comeback last season, obviously you had some options on the table at the end of last season. To have this backdrop behind you, is this kind of one of the goals that you had set in coming back?
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah. No, man, that's kind of what I put on my goal sheet every year is win a conference title. And it's sitting right next to my bed. I give my coaches a new goal sheet, kind of a 3-page document every year of what I want to accomplish, how I want to accomplish it, and how I want to involve my teammates in that process. And, typed up right there at the top is Mountain West title. So having the opportunity to go up to Boise, to try to accomplish that is going to be a really good challenge. And I think anything worth accomplishing in life is going to be hard. And some people say, oh, I just want to go up to Boise, get a win, and do everything you can. But I want it to be hard. That's how I'm going to remember it, and that's what really pays off in this process. When things are challenging and things present, like I said, a big challenge to you and your team, those are probably the things worth fighting for. So I'm excited for it.
Through the years, we've seen you sign a lot of autographs after games. Did you sign anything unique after Friday's win?
Okay, well, there was a kid who came up to me, really funny kid. I told him he was like top all time. I probably shouldn't have done it, but the dad was right there with him and kind of off in the distance, and he was like, "Can you sign my head?" And I was like, wow, I've never had anyone ask me that, but sure. So I signed his head, and his dad came over. Dude was dying laughing. He's like, this is awesome. So we all took a picture. His dad was right there and smiled, and it's a pretty good moment. Pretty good memory, I think. It was pretty funny. So, and then Evan, I think, signed his head after. And then he asked Nico, and Nico's mom said no. So it was fun.
Jake, you mentioned your goal sheet and one goal being to win a conference title. What would winning a conference title do for you, do for this program?
I don't think it has what it does for me. I mean, I just think that it would, check off another box on my goals and one of my missions, and that was to bring a conference title to Fresno State. And, I think everybody in that locker room is deserving of it, and sometimes deserving doesn't matter. But I think that, these guys worked really hard, and, we're going to do everything we can to put out a really solid performance on Saturday and do everything we can to get it done.
Do you remember the feeling this week last year of not preparing for a conference title game? And I'm curious where your mindset was at this time last year watching San Diego State prepare for the game.
I mean, I remember sitting there rooting for Boise, trying to have them get a win, in week 12 and trying to have the opportunity, but it felt a lot better, being able to control your own destiny, weeks 11 and 12, and, being able to take care of business like we did was great. And, like I said, it's just an opportunity that we're going to have to capitalize on and do everything we can to prepare hard this week.
Your preparation, obviously playing on Friday, really began, well, maybe Friday night, but probably on Saturday. What have you seen from Boise's defense? I mean, obviously Skinner being a great player, but just, overall, what can you expect from them on Saturday?
I mean, they're a really good group. They're nationally ranked in a lot of categories. Their defensive coordinator does a really good job, and I think we're going to have to be as prepared as possible to, score a lot of points and do a lot of good things for our defense and help our defense out because they're doing some good stuff on offense as well. So, I just think you got to take it one drive at a time and know that you can't win the game in one drive. So, we just got to execute and stay in the moment, stay in the present, and just execute like we do. I think we'll be fine.
Paul asked you about the emotion of senior night, and you even set up here last week and said that it was going to be emotional for you. What's the emotion this week? Is Saturday's game going to be emotional for you for potentially different reasons?
I mean, I thought I did a pretty good job of honing in the emotion on Friday. Yeah, it was emotional. Yeah, it was my last game in Bulldog Stadium. But, this week I have it's kind of a different agenda. We got, one goal, one mission, and that's to get a conference title and do everything we can to do it. So I don't think there's really anything emotional about it. It's a big-time game. The guys know it's a big-time game, and that's, usually what brings the best out of us. So I'm excited for the challenge and ready to roll.
Given that, Fresno State, Boise State's a big deal for this program, and if you only had one shot so far, just how much does it mean to get a second chance and to rewrite that chapter a little bit?
I mean, every game's different. You have good games, bad games, and I think you can learn from both, good and bad. And, last year I learned from that and continued to, learn from the wins as well. But, it's a totally different atmosphere, a totally different game. Nothing carries over from that. And I think, what's going to bring success is the preparation that we do this week and how well we practice. And, that's about it.
Are there any tangible advantages having gone to Boise, even though you didn't play, to experience that?
I mean, I've played in a lot of big stadiums before, and, it's loud. And, I think, playing in Autzen was a really good experience for me, just to be able to play in a loud stadium, loud environment, with a lot of fans that probably don't like you. So I think, seeing it, being there was great, but definitely going to have a lot more fun strapping up this time and giving it a go.
Do you see anything different from their defense from what you guys faced previously?
I mean, they're an explosive group and do a lot of really good things. Obviously, they got some guys hurt. I'm sure they're going to try to, be able to play this week and do everything they can to be on the field. But there's definitely some different faces out on the field that you see on tape from after the time that they played us. And I think they had one or two more guys go down on Saturday. And, you just got to be ready for the scheme and be ready to react to what's in front of you.
You've been asked about coming off of injury and how you've managed all that, but some of the analytics suggest these last 5 weeks have been your best stretch of your college career. Just what's clicking well for you right now, regardless of what's happened before that?
Shoot. I mean, I think just the older I've gotten, the more, I guess you could say the more experience I've gotten. And obviously last year, I think I've said this, I felt was like the first time I was actually the starter with, environments and different crowds and being kind of thrown into that was really the first time I had to experience that. And, I think the more that I've been able to get on the field, been able to produce, I just think that I continue to improve. And I think that goes for anybody else. The more experience you get, the slower the game feels for you, and you just adjust to it.
The average attendance for Fresno State was the highest in the Mountain West, and you experienced that for the last time this past Friday. What can you say about the crowd this season as opposed to maybe last season, and what can you say about the crowd effect on the game this season?
Was our attendance higher last year? I feel like it wasn't. I feel like the student section was sold out more last year. Students, yeah. I mean, it felt the same to me. It was great. Definitely help and you know, contributing to victories. But you know, when I'm playing, I don't really focus on the crowd. I'm pretty locked into what the defense is doing and what I have to react to. So, you know, the crowd's great, and I really appreciate it. But when I'm down there competing, I'm fully locked into the opponent.
And last question about that interaction with JL before the previous game. Where was that at? Was that pregame? Was that on the field during practice or during warmups?
It was pregame before he was kind of walking the field and came up to me and asked. Obviously, he was disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to go. So, you know, we were kind of chatting for a minute and kind of talking about, you know, what I had going on. And then Evan came over and we were talking about just having the opportunity to, you know, come back up there and compete for a conference title. And he had no doubt we were going to come back and have the opportunity. So, you know, at the time I wasn't playing and Evan wasn't as well. So we were just kind of hoping for that shot, and here we are. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the challenge, and I'm sure he will be too.
Funny how things work out.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Thank you, guys.